Last month I was honoured to be elected as chairperson of the Interparliamentary Union Working Group on Science and Technology, and Cancórda, that was thanks to your original nomination of me to that body, and I want to thank you for that. The goal of this particular working group is to build bridges between science and Parliament at a global level, and to serve as the parliamentary global focal point for issues related to science and technology. And the working group is comprised of 21 members of Parliament from across the 5 continents who have specific relevant knowledge and expertise and are determined to inspire global parliamentary action through legislative work in the field of science, technology and innovation. And I want to commend the Minister and the Department for the establishment of the Evidence for Policy Unit and for the programme of consultation that's ongoing at the moment or just closed in relation to Science for Advice, because I think we need, and one of the main aims of both of these strands within the department is to ensure that science is made more accessible and more useful for policymakers, both in terms of government and in terms here of Parliament. And there is a responsibility on the scientific community and scientists themselves to maximise the benefits of science for society as a whole. And they must start to publish outside the scientific literature in the public interest by disseminating information by the FAIR principle. Scientific research data, whether big or small, irrespective of the discipline, should be findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable. And it is imperative that we actually share the common knowledge, not just because this is an important requirement in itself, but science is not science unless it's actually being communicated. And we have seen over the recent past growth in the area of collaboration, and particularly in the area of interdisciplinary collaboration. But the reality is that those potential collaborators aren't going to be picking up some specialised academic journal outside of their own academic field. It's only through communication with the media and the public that they're aware of what's going on in related and other fields. So it is imperative, not just in terms of scientific development, but also in terms of communicating with the public, that that engagement does take place. And science and the scientific community need to realise that engaging with the public is a requirement as a result of securing the public funding in the first place and making sure that they outline the potential benefits to society as a whole. And this is an issue of equity on a global level. And we need to ensure and enshrine that there is a right to knowledge, there's a right to fundamental science, regardless of what part of the world someone lives in, regardless of their educational background. Information and access to that information needs to be treated just like a human right. And we see that at the moment in terms of climate change. We have to come up with very innovative, new and novel climate solutions to deal with the challenges that we have in terms of the climate crisis. And they need to be made available across the globe when they do become available. And turning here to science and its relationship with the policymakers, with Parliament and with government. The reality is that science historically has been far too slow to provide answers and to provide solutions. Tomorrow, Minister, the London School of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene will make a presentation to the Oireachtas. I commissioned the London School back in 2017 as Minister to produce a report in relation to air quality and the retrofitting of homes. That evidence is now only just being published 5 years later. We have made decisions regarding retrofitting of homes and the new retrofitting scheme in advance of that, because we couldn't wait 5 years to get the evidence back. We need to see evidence be turned around far quicker. And yes, that will come with a caveat. Science is always conditional. It's always based on variables. And yes, as politicians, we would love to have certainty. But certainty in today's world is not possible. We live in an uncertain world, and we need to acknowledge those uncertainties, weigh them up and make decisions based on that. And we've all seen that firsthand with COVID-19, how important it is for science to be able to communicate clearly with government, and how important it is for government and Parliament to critically analyse the evidence and then weigh that up against those competing demands. This relationship needs to be strengthened by building relationships and trust that ensure that the best strategic decisions are made now for our future development. We're facing unprecedented challenges in terms of climate change, in terms of biodiversity, food and energy security, as well as inflation and economic growth. And bridging the evidence gap between science and politics is vital to be able to overcome these challenges in a comprehensive way. And Minister, we're now living in a new world, in a post-normal science world after COVID-19. Scientists compromised to provide evidence for decisions in a timely manner during the pandemic. It was a trade-off between certainty and the evidence that was urgently needed to make those policy decisions. And we're in that situation as well in relation to climate change. We need answers now. The scientists have presented us with the evidence. The difficulty is much of that evidence is far too fatalistic, far too futuristic. They need to engage in solutions. They need to engage with communities right across this country, right across this planet, if we're going to provide the solutions that we need to actually deal with the challenges that we're facing at present. Because we have very unique challenges and we do urgently need unique solutions. Guramahagut.